So you're watching this video most likely because you're about to interview with an insurance company or an insurance agency. And you're probably wondering, how can I do the best possible in the interview to secure my odds for getting the insurance job? And if this case, I have some surprising advice for you. You're not likely going to hear this anywhere else. So if you're thinking about selling insurance, you're looking at an agency to join, and you're wondering what steps you need to take, again, kind of a 180 than what you expect, then this is a video for you to watch to make sure that you find the best insurance job out there. Number one, understand the nature of most insurance agency opportunities. So there's a phrase that I've used for many years to describe how most insurance agencies operate, and I need to share this with you up front because it helps have proper perspective of what truly most insurance agency interviews are all about. So here's the phrase: hire them in masses, train them in classes, sell all their friends and family, then fire their asses. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to spend some time kind of looking at this phrase to help you better understand how all of this ties into how you should mentally approach an insurance interview and what things you should do differently than what you suspect in order to maximize your opportunity in finding not just the doing well on an interview, but finding the right agency to interview with and work for. Hire them in masses. So the phrase hire them in masses kind of represents the norm of the insurance business. It's likely that most insurance companies or agencies you're looking to sell for are involved in the multi-level marketing type of business model. In other words, multi-level marketers are known to recruit anybody with a pulse. There's a lot of hype around the business model and not a lot of substance. And unfortunately, that's what you're going to find with a lot of these agencies out there, is that they're really focused on telling you how much money you're going to make. A lot of these big income claims, they'll show off their cars, their planes, and all that nonsense in hopes to get you stirred up and hot and bothered, and then hopefully join their agency to do the same. But what you find out is that it's just an MLM strategy to recruit a bunch of people in, so there's not a lot of post-recruit development for the agents. Just kind of like go watch a video, read the script, and good luck. Talk to us if you make it. So bottom line, this is just the normal approach to most business models. It is a mass hiring recruitment scheme, and I say scheme just jokingly. It's not really an illegal thing, of course. So make sure that you understand that's kind of what you're going to get into. So if you sense this kind of multi-level marketing thing, run for the hills. Keep doing your diligence, and we'll tell you what to ask to kind of help clarify if it's not totally clear at this point. Train them in classes. So this kind of talks about the third-party approach to training. If there is any training, really, you could take the training out, and what you'll find is that's what most agencies don't do, is train. But if there is any kind of training, typically it's like, watch this video, read the script if there is even a script, and then don't bother us. What you have to understand is if you're getting into insurance, you need to understand a couple of things that are really important when it comes to your development. First of all, sales is about the prospect, not the product. You have to understand and get training to better develop you and to better develop your understanding of what the prospect thinks, what their hot buttons are, and then helping them understand with clarity why they should take action today and buy whatever you're selling them. That's where a lot of your training should focus on. You should have video modules walking through, scripts walking through. You should have live training calls to listen to help better develop this understanding. And of course, you should have product knowledge development too as well. All the while, you should have some kind of person you can correspond with via email, one-on-one calls. Again, that has more of a personal touch to help you better develop yourself, as opposed to just this, look at a video and let's hope for the best type of mentality. Sell all their friends and family. So this refers to the fact that most of these organizations you're going to join aren't interested in teaching you the skill set, the prospect, or the knowledge of buying leads and running appointments or selling over the phone to purchase leads. Instead, what many of them focus on is getting into your personal network, your sphere of influence, talking to you about how to talk to them to have them approach and sell them a policy. And it's not that this approach doesn't work, it actually does work. But for a lot of people, it's off-putting. A lot of people don't want to bother their friends and family, especially as new agents that lack understanding and experience. But a lot of these organizations are going to push that idea onto it because for many reasons, that kind of business tends to stick better, makes it easier for your recruiter to take half the commission in many cases for you to find these people. And it kind of serves above you versus serve you directly. And that's the problem, is that I think for me personally, like what we teach at the Ford Insurance Group, we teach agents to buy leads or self-generation process outside of the friends and family approach that are scalable, duplicatable, and evergreen, meaning they just don't last for a short burst of time. You need a system that lasts for the long haul, not for the short haul. And if you end up in one of these positions, they're almost teaching you to do this strategy because they assume you're going to fail and they want to milk every little bit of value out of you before that happens. Then fire their asses. So this just refers to is they're basically going to milk you to death and try to take as much out of your personal network as possible with as marginal amount of training as they can do. And before you know it, as they expect you, you run out of opportunities. There's nothing much else for you to do. And then you have to leave the business believing it's a racket and missing out on, I believe, one of the best sales opportunities of the 2020s and beyond. So my hope is with this kind of description, I've helped frame the reality of the insurance business that much better. Now, all of this is to say this isn't a bad opportunity. It's just that this is the norm. And now I'm going to equip you with some questions to ask in your interview because you have to turn the tables. This isn't necessarily about you being interviewed and you having to do a song and dance in many cases. They'll take you if you've got a pulse and you're halfway intelligent, you don't sound like a total jerk. But you want to make sure that you ask them questions because as much as they're questioning you, you need to question them. And you need to read between the lines and what your questions are to see what the response is. For example, you can tell so much about joining an agency or an insurance carrier or company when you get a lot of snark from a response that you ask, as you'll see in a second. Because some of these are kind of questions that put those recruiting you on their seats. And you get to see how transparent they are about the process. Do they honestly answer in an earnest capacity? Do they deflect? Do they use some kind of sales skill set of deflecting the real straight up answer to the question? If you sense that, then guys, you don't need to join that agency. There's probably something cooking under the surface that you just can't see yet that is going to be manifest in a bigger way if you stick around. So that's kind of my advice here is ask these questions. It's not just about what questions you get answers to, but it's how they answer it. And if you don't like how their tone is, how their answer sounds, to me, knowing what I know being in this business since 2011, I would just find another agency. There's so many of them out there because you really want to find that good fit that's going to provide you short and long-term opportunity. So question one, am I a captive or independent agent? So what this better describes is, do you have the ability to work with a variety of different companies or are you stuck with one company? Again, it's not that one is right or wrong, but you want to be able to clarify how they approach the business and why they do it the way they do. So make sure you follow up, well, why are you independent or why am I captive? What are the benefits of doing that? Again, ask in a childlike manner. Be sincerely curious. And again, monitor what they say and how they respond. Number two, do you release upon request? So what does release mean? Release means that for the carrier or agency you're joining, you can have the right to move that affiliation to any other agency of your choice. What that means is that if it doesn't work out, if the claims they make are untrue and it's a bad fit, that you have the ability to not be locked out of those carriers you've learned and the products that you've begun to know and can move those to an agency that you feel is a better fit. So many agencies nowadays, these big name MLMs especially, do not release. They shower you with all the wonderfulness that an MLM would do to get you to sign the dotted line. But what you don't realize is they make you stick around sometimes up to 12 months before you can take those carriers and move them over. So ask yourself, if a company makes these outrageous claims about how great they are and how they're going to help you, can't hold a candle to the fire and say, hey, look, if it doesn't work out, fine, move on. Ask yourself, is that really something of an agency that really believes in what they say? If they're going to hold you hostage, in other words, does that really validate their promise to you? Generally speaking, good agencies that really care about their agents allow for releases upon request as long as there's no chargeback debt. And that's because they know what they do works and they don't want to hold anybody hostage that they find out maybe it is a bad fit. Number three, do I own my book of business or not? This is an important question to ask your interview. Are you building a business or are you working a job? A job is great if that's all you want, but if you're looking to build a business and get paid passive income streams, if you don't own your book of business, as soon as you leave that organization, all of that is gone. I've talked to countless agents that were set up on what we call line of authority contracts. They didn't own their book of business and they sold so much business and made the owners rich that they really missed out on a great opportunity to build a business, but instead built somebody else's business. So if your dream is entrepreneurship, you want to own your book of business, you're ready to do that, ask this question and make sure you own your book of business. If you're just looking for a job, no worries, you should be fine. Why do you think I'd be a good fit for your organization? I like this question because it allows them to kind of sell themselves to you and allows you to kind of better understand where their selling points are. Again, no agency is exactly the same. Some agencies are more focused on training, some are more focused on MLM, some are more focused on one-on-one mentorship, some aren't. You got to find where you fit in this, and asking this question is going to help better frame, in their words, why you would be a good fit and who is a good fit as well for their organization. Describe how you teach agents to prospect. So I like asking this question because, again, do you want to sell family and friends? Are you comfortable with that? Or do you do lead generation where you buy leads or self-generate leads or cold calls, etc.? What I've found is that not all agents will do any kind of marketing process. Some are just better than others. So you want to figure out, how do you want to market? How do you want to prospect? Make sure you join an agency that reflects that. What's your commission level and how do I increase my commission? And how does this compare to other organizations? So make sure you ask commissions up front. Commissions aren't the end all be all when you join an organization. You want to make sure the commission opportunity is good, not just immediately, but for long term. You want to make sure for that commission level, there is a amount of value that you get back in return. So for example, more training, more support, etc. And you want to ask, well, how does this compare to other organizations? Is it high? Is it low? And I like asking this question because, again, I get to see what the agency owner says in response, or the recruiter. Do they get puffed up and ego trip that their commissions aren't everything, or our commissions are the best? And then you can test them against what you know, see if they're telling the truth, or see if they have an ego problem. Again, these are things that we care about when we join any organization. Is this an honest organization? Is this an organization that has insecurity issues, right? And you can kind of test for this as an agent right up front when you ask this question. Just make sure you ask this respectfully. Don't ask it in a snarky way. You'll get a snarky response. But if you ask it in a childlike manner, sincerely curious and wondering, and they respond in this kind of snarky, insecure way, well, you know what you need to know, right? How important is it for me to recruit as a new agent? Very important question, guys. If you're getting into this business to sell insurance, not recruit insurance agents to sell, then you need to make sure you're joining an agency focused on training. For example, at DeFord Insurance Group, my agency, we focus on training agents to become top producers. Of course, we support recruiting, but not until people know what they're doing. There's a lot of organizations that are heavy into the MLM. So for example, if you're really wanting to learn how to sell insurance and the craft behind the presentation, appointment setting, lead generation, etc., then you want to join an agency like mine that's focused on that. And if you find an organization that really pushes the recruiting stuff, well, there's a dissonance there. You're going to find it's just not going to be a good fit in many cases. And the most important question, may I talk to 3 successful agents directly working with you to ask questions about their experience? I can't tell you how vital this question is in all walks of life when you're looking to do business with anybody, not just in joining an agency, but also in doing any kind of business or contractual work. I have found that every time I ask an organization about getting references and let me talk to your clients, if they don't provide it, they're hiding something. What they're saying is true, even if it looks really good, is just not fully transparent. And no matter how good it looks, if somebody won't share with me their contacts of their clients, then what I've realized is this business just doesn't have the follow through that it claims to. And again, we're in a world now where people know a lot about marketing, presentation, how to present themselves in a cool, fashionable, professional way, but that kind of exterior look isn't necessarily what's on the inside. And to me, we live in this world where trust is in crises, right? I mean, we see this politically, professionally, personally, and it's just normal act of doing business to ask for 3 references of people that can account to what your claims are. So for example, if agents approach me and they're like, hey, can I talk to 3 agents that work with you just to kind of get some perspective? I absolutely provide it. I don't ever treat them disrespectfully. I say, yeah, here's an email, here's Chris's email, here's Bob's email, here's Dave's email. Ask them anything you'd like to about the organization. You don't have to copy me on it. And I trust my people to explain exactly what their feelings are. I don't need to prep them up for anything like this. And I certainly don't get mad at you, the agent, asking this question, because I appreciate that, knowing what the reality of this business is like. So ask that question. It's a tough question to ask. But again, it's not so much what they say, it's how they say it. And a lot of people get turned off, like, oh, I can't do that. I just don't share that stuff. And they'll say something that sounds halfway reasonable, but guys, it's not. Not in this world we live in. You need to trust and verify. And this is a fantastic business where so many people get unknowingly screwed. And by having a vetting mechanism in place for the agency you're joining, by simply asking what the people think and getting references, man, that is so important. And if you can't get that, find an organization that does, because there are some out there who will provide those references. I hope this gives you more insight on the insurance agency interview process. It's probably not what you expected, but I really wanted to really go deep into this because this business is, while it's so awesome and wonderful, so many agents fail out of it because they don't do these things and they wouldn't know to do it because they think of it like it's a normal job interview, but it's completely the opposite. So make sure you take these steps. It's gonna take you more time. It's gonna be more due diligence. You're gonna get more pushback, but guys, it's worth it. This business is awesome. I'm so glad that I found it, and it's worth worth slowing down and doing it right than rushing through it and becoming a failure and a statistic in failing out like 90% of the agents do. You can find out more about DeFord Insurance Group at daviddeford.com and see how we help agents nationally, telesales, and in person sell final expense Medicare annuities and ACA. Consider liking and subscribing if you haven't, and thanks for watching.